Hello folks, how are we doing? It's another episode of Conroy Talks, and today I'm delighted to be joined by the frontman of Sharp and the Bicycle Thieves. Funnily enough, Mark Sharp, the talented, outstanding frontman is here. And yeah, thanks for coming, Mark. I really appreciate it, mate.
Nah, no hassle at all, man. Thanks for having me.
No, of course. Yeah, no, of course. It's just, I know you've done other interviews in the past, but I wanted to just have a bit of a football chat and kind of mix music into that later as well. But also, we've got his debut on the channel. I've forced his hand. He's had to come on, and it's Myles who came on today. How you doing, Myles? How you feeling?
Not too bad. Wee bit shaky, but we'll be all right.
You'll be fine. but anyway, just to crack on, Mark. I know you've gave us an hour of time, so I really appreciate that, mate. Question I wanted to ask is, so I know everyone talks about West Lothian now in the music scene, from the Snuts to Capaldi to yourself, Look with Hope as well. I wanted to ask you, when it came to football, just from your maybe a young age, did you play a lot? Did you go to a lot of games? Anything like that?
I pretty much just played football right up till I was maybe about 23, 24, something like that, up to junior level. But I had loads of teams when I was younger. I played with like Whitburn, St Gen. I played with Falkirk for a few years. A couple of other teams or whatever. But I just always loved football. It's always been a big part of my life. Obviously, I wasn't good enough to make it or whatever. But as soon as you start getting that stage where you can drink, music takes a wee backseat, doesn't it?
Yeah. I nearly made it. I nearly made it. If it wasn't for that injury, that's what they say. If it wasn't for that injury.
Everybody blames an injury. I just blame the drink.
The buck fast.
That's it, mate. As soon as you get to that stage, you start going to gigs as well. Get a real buzz for that. So it's hard to go out on a Saturday night and hear a game on a Sunday or whatever, isn't it?
No, 100%, mate. No, that's good. So what position did you play, Mark?
I was a striker. Or play right wing, or just kind of behind the front or whatever. Probably the way I played back then probably suits the game now. The way, it's like just attack.
Yeah,
Ange ball, as they call it.
I just
prefer that, man. You don't want any defence like that. That'd be a disaster.
Is that where your sharpshooter nickname comes from then?
Possibly, mate. Possibly. Could be DJ Sharpshooter.
That's class, mate. That would make a lot of sense, actually. That was because that's all me and Myles see is just Twitter posts way or Facebook posts way Sharpshooter. And I think it was one of you. We're not going to get on the music right now, but you're in. I think was it Barrowlands, or it was you're up. I think at the VIP, but I think it was. And someone took a picture and it's like Sharpshooters on site. So I was like, obviously that nickname's sticking, mate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can't mind that, but I don't know. I've just got like a playlist because I think I did like a few DJ sets a couple of years ago and that, and I've got a playlist called DJ Sharpshooter, which is about 2 days worth of tunes in it. So I don't know.
No, it's class. Decent. It really is. It's decent. It's like I think I'm sure the followers have been going up for that Spotify playlist. But back onto football, mate. You said you played in that. Obviously, I didn't realise you played for that many teams as well. That's really good. So when did you actually say so-called hang up your boots, like from that side of things?
I think I was playing with Whitburn Juniors, and then I was just it wasn't a fact I wasn't losing interest in that, but I was getting injured all the time, and so I was like, that's probably why I was drinking there and that. I was just like, just kind of lost a bit of interest in actually playing. Never lost love for the game, but so I left them, and then I was just planning on quitting, but then Stainburn Juniors, they got me pissed on their play of the year night out. That was because a couple of my mates played with them, and they ended up signing that night as well, and I was there for like a couple of years as well. But I was just there for the night shoot, to be honest, mate. But no, I love playing football.
Music thing going on now, like Snuts, obviously yourself with the Volk and stuff. Were any of them like quite decent at football as well, or did any of them kind of play?
I don't know about Luke. I'm not sure if Luke played or that. Sports Aberdeen though, so I'm not sure if he can play. Hope he's listening. Always keep it tight for that. But I don't think it's not. Well, we Joko played actually. he was up at the Battle Juniors for a bit, so I played against him and stuff. But I played we used to go to 5-a-side every Thursday, all the Snuts boys, myself, and just a few other boys, and we'd call it 3 pint Thursdays. So we'd go play 5-a-sides, go to the pub, 3 pints would turn into 10. And then you'd end up the shots and all that, and then just missing work on Friday, and that was every week. We were like, we'll just go for 2 or 3. Always the same, isn't it? But now Joko's pretty good. Wee Jack's quite good as well. Quite skillful. 29's just runs at you and wipes you out. But I don't think I'm got any interest in football.
Yeah, well, just on that, Myles, that's a really good question, mate, because I watched the Snuts one you done on their channel. It was like the football competition, and it was like Joe and 29 were doing the commentary. So I think that answered that question for me, mate.
Aye, no, that was good fun. That I was with Sci-Fi.
Yeah, you done well. You done really well. You smashed it. Really well.
They actually I scored 3 goals, I think, and they put me down for 2, and I think I was raging.
Yeah, but, I realised that when I was watching it, I was like, that's not right. Yeah, I thought that's incorrect. You scored 3, but fair enough.
But no, I scored quite a good goal in that one. Missed the ball a couple of times today, though. All adds up.
No, it was good. It was good. Honestly, I think it was. It looked class. To be fair, that it must have been a good laugh to do that. But back on the football trajectory, that's obviously your playing side. See, when you came to support, I know you told us obviously you're a Celtic fan. So what would you say growing up was like one of your biggest memories of football? It doesn't have to be one, but maybe just a few moments you thought that sticks in my head for years to come.
That's a good question, mate. You said you've got an idea with it.
Aye. I did have an idea, mate, because I'll be honest, I think I'm not saying we're the exact same age, but kind of roughly, I think when you were kind of watching football, not even being maybe obsessed, but just watching it a lot, I feel like most Celtic fans, roughly about that, are talking Henrik Larsson. Like, even if it's from the chip against Rangers, that's maybe if you're a bit older, or like the UEFA Cup final, or even the route to UEFA Cup final as well. And it's just like, it's hard to even argue that, because like if you're watching that, he's left Celtic and then he's went to Barca, basically came on in a Champions League final when they've been losing, got 2 assists, and then went to United when he's really old and won a Premier League there as well. So that's what I was guessing, mate. I might be wrong, but Larsson's obviously an unbelievable player.
Nah, mate, you're spot on, really. Yeah, everything that Larsson done, really. I was obsessed with him. I used to watch like his DVDs and that the night before a game and that, and just kind of getting in it. But still watch them. Come home for the and that.
3 in the morning, get the DVD on. I love that.
I'm not ashamed to say I actually have done that. But
don't worry.
But that IS2 game when he chipped close was good. And but that Martin O'Neill team, that was like the Celtic team when I was growing up, and that was like my team. For great players and characters, man. So I loved that. Even going to like the Man U game and Nakamura scored a free kick, that's sticking in my head as well. He scored a free kick in both legs, but his one at Old Trafford was unbelievable, because Van der Sar knows where he's going. He's got a head start on it, but it's tucked right into his top bag, and it's like incredible. I never went to the UEFA Cup final. My dad, my grandpa and my uncle and that, they all went, and I was young to go. But gutted, isn't it, that? But that's a game I'll probably never watch back. You know, the highlights come on, that's gone straight off. Just good but bad. I think I would have enjoyed it if I was like just in Seville for it, and just kind of not even pick it for the game, just being about that buzz, because Celtic fans to any other place, isn't it? It looked amazing. But as I say, I was a bit too young to go in that, so.
No, it's fair enough, mate. Mark, I would actually add to that, because I'm a big Liverpool fan. So see when Liverpool lost the Champions League final with Karius made those mistakes and Bale scores like the best goal I've ever seen in my life. That was like one of them. It's like you never really watch that back, because I don't know, it's kind of like finals. You put so much emotion in. It's hard to
Yeah.
think logically and rationally, and it actually just it takes a lot out of you. So it's different if you win a final. It's like you recap every second, but when you put that much in and you don't win, and it's like, and see, to be fair, like the one thing I would say to Celtic, I'll let Myles come in now because he wants a question. But the one thing I'd say is, see when you look back and you actually think what Jose Mourinho done, you're 100% there diving about. But if you actually look after that win, what he done after that, it's like people kind of forget that. I think that kind of starts then he wins the Champions League with Porto, and then he just Chelsea. It's like the start of that trajectory. So I think like people forget it was. I'd feel the exact same, mate. It's like when Karius made those mistakes. It's like with Porto's antics, and there's always diving in football, but I think that was to the next degree.
Definitely
horrendous. But Myles, what were you going to say there? What were you going to ask Mark?
No, I was going to say I've had that feeling as well with the UEFA Cup final, the Rangers in Manchester. Never ever watched the highlights back. Like I just mind the sort of build up, like for weeks thinking about it and just getting so excited. And then once it was done, it was done. Like actually never watched it again. Never bothered YouTubing it or that. It just hurts a wee bit. But
I think Mark's right though. It's like, see if you're actually there and you're soaking it up, you're going to have a lot of memories that will stick with you, even if you did lose. Because, for example, I think when Liverpool and Madrid and they won it, or even they lost, it was like, I think it was Kiev. There's obviously like the days before it, the party and the camaraderie and stuff. So that probably stays with you, Mark. But I guess when it's like you're watching it on a screen, yeah, mate. Don't get me started in the Karius moment. When he done that with Benzema, with the first one, like my head was gone. My head was gone. So
I mean, I was the same in that game because I've got a soft spot for Liverpool. They were like, I liked Owen when I was younger as well. I liked Gerrard, and obviously I'm a big fan of Kenny Dalglish, even though he was well for my time. But I have been to a few Liverpool games, and there was one time actually. This is probably why they've got quite a close place in my heart, because we were got the bus to Glasgow with like loads of Liverpool fans. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning. Loads of Liverpool fans, some Celtic fans. Went down to Anfield, and it was Justice for the 96. It was getting broadcasted on the telly. I didn't know this at the time, but went down and I had my Celtic cap on and stuff, and we put like a banner outside the stadium. Just like you'll never walk alone, Celtic and Liverpool, just United type thing.
Yep.
And so everybody's up coming getting pictures and that, going, that's class and that. And then this steward comes and goes, Celtic, come with us. I'm like, where are we going? Like, and then they end up taking the banner out onto the pitch, walking in front of the cop. And like, I think this was maybe the manager at the time.
So you went on the pitch, or?
Aye, man.
Mark, Mark, that's amazing. You can't just drop that in. That's amazing.
Just walked. I mean, still surreal thinking about this day, and I didn't know it was on the telly as well, man. If I can't, I wouldn't have wear a stupid hat. And because it was so early in the morning, I was like, I can't. No time to do my hair. I'm just got to focus. It's like kind of long bonnet hats, man. It's stupid, ridiculous. Wearing that on the telly and that. But now we put it like the players, like. It was all full of players and like obviously the family. The 96
what year was that, Mark? What year was that, roughly?
2006, 2007, maybe something like that.
Yeah, so something that's kind of Rafa Benitez time then.
I think he was the manager, and obviously like Gerrard and
Torres was there at that time as well,
actually. Torres would have been there. Durkheim and obviously Carragher and stuff like that. So walked out and we put the banner down on the pitch, and like the copper or like standing in front of that, and you see all the looking up CJ and I'm like, I just milking it, so I can try to take it in, man. But it was the weirdest experience of my life.
I would tell that story every night, and the fact that we've had a drink with you and that's never came up is that's unbelievable, mate. I can't believe you just that is some story. Like I'm thinking, right, is Mark going to have a link here with any teams we know, and he's just basically been on the team I love. He's literally been on the park. So I don't know if you can top that, mate. That's unbelievable.
It's one of the best experiences of my life. Like, it was unbelievable. I just didn't expect it. I was like, I didn't even know why I was getting the bus done. Like, it was my auntie's boyfriend or something. Like, just says we're getting the bus at 6 o'clock, going down to Liverpool. just for like the whatever they were having down there, and that he's got mates down there, and I'm like, cool. And then he's like pulls this banner out. And I don't even think he knew we were going on the pitch, like. So it was that was special, man.
That is honest. I'm not even exaggerating. That's class, mate. That is surreal as anything. I just want to talk about that for the rest of this, but no, we'll move on. But genuinely, mate, that's class. So you talk about Celtic then. Just following on from that, who was your favourite player in that team? Like maybe bar Larsson, because I think Larsson is the go-to.
So in the Martin O'Neill team, or just like over the years?
Just over the years, mate. Whatever.
Nobody just gets by Larsson, to be honest, mate. But
I know. It seems to be the way.
Players, man. Aye. Like Nakamura was good. Lubo was class. I was a big fan of Simon Donnelly before Larsson came in, and he shares our tunes in that all the time, man. Sorry, mate.
Aye. Was he a striker, that Simon Donnelly?
Aye, kind of played midfield.
Kind of wing. Play the wing sometimes as well, Donnelly.
Aye, he could. Aye, but he was good, like just off striker. But it's mad that he's like into the tunes and that now. I just think that's mental. He's shares them all the time. And
has he got a bar, Mark? Has he got a bar in Scotland, or is it abroad? He's got a bar.
So him and Jackie McNamara opened up a bar in Spain. Don McNamara's. But when COVID kind of happened, they closed it down. But I think they're opening one in Glasgow soon. So
you get to play in there then, mate. You get a gig in there, mate. Maybe we can get VIP, but I don't know. No, that would be good, mate.
So you'll love that, Myles.
Oh, Myles will love that. Myles will love that. That's what I was going to say. No, the thing is,
I'll play Last Train, mate.
Aye, he'll come. 100%. If you're playing Last Train, he'll be there. Like, no, he'll be there before the bar opens. I guarantee.
Just talking about your favourite players, right? Is there any like players for Rangers that you had a soft spot for?
That's a good question. Actually.
That's a great question, mate. Well, the boy in my band, James, the drummer, he's a big fan. He was a big fan of Loud Rock. Again, that was probably just a wee bit before my
Loud
time,
Rock was ridiculous, though. Like I think Loud Rock was like special. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they're scoring against us, mate, I'm going to hate them. So that means they're a good player. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, he never scored many against us or for Rangers. But Barry Ferguson was some player.
Yeah.
I liked him when he was playing with Scotland as well. So I'd say him. That's a good question, mate. Who was your favourite player?
That's a good question as well. That's a good question as well, Mark.
Too young to appreciate Gascoigne, I think. But I've seen clips of him. He was class. But more recently, I loved Rickson. Just like Fernando Rickson. Just
Rickson, aye.
Solid, loved him. For Celtic, there's a player I loved for Celtic, right? And no one ever really talks about him. That's Zarowski up front. See, every time I watched him, it was unbelievable.
With the gold vapours.
Aye.
Magic's asking.
Aye.
Is that Magic? And he used to do the Magic song. Oh, ho, ho, it's Magic. That was good. Yeah, I remember that.
He was good. Like him and Mad Boric. At the same time.
Boric is a madman like that. I've watched some interviews, not even with Celtic, just like when he was at other clubs, and it was like I think it was an open goal interview, and it's like I can't remember. Oh, it was the McGeady one, and McGeady tries to punch him, and he just lays him out.
The shivers.
Yeah,
scrapping the shivers. That's brilliant.
I know. It's so I would say I think to be honest, the Barry Ferguson shout's a good one, isn't it? Because like. We talk about obviously Walter Smith just recently passed away as well, and there was kind of unity between Glasgow for that. And I do think there's maybe unity when you think about people who speak about Barry Ferguson, even all the Celtic fans, like especially I know he scored a lot against him, but there is that acceptance that he was a top player. And I think it kind of falls into that. You talk about the old firm derbies where Rangers have got Ferguson, who's maybe scoring 20 goals a season, which is still quite amazing for a midfielder. And then you've got Larsson. I would also add that Celtic's front line, you've got Hartson off the bench and Sutton as well. I mean, that is, when you think about that now, like that's a Premier League winner in Sutton. And then Hartson obviously played in the Premier League. And then having Henrik Larsson in the team, and even the squad Rangers had as well. I mean, that's actually quite amazing when you think where Scottish football was then. Like some of the old firms were, the quality and standard on show was, well, I don't know if we'll ever get back to that standard, but back then it was amazing.
Just when you mentioned like the 6-2 game there, like Celtic won 6-2, and then the next game Rangers won 5-1.
Yeah,
and then
it was
like that's
crazy.
just what it was like then. Do you know what I mean? And one of my favourite games, I can't remember when it was, maybe 2001 or 2, and it was like 3-3. That was some game. Like I just remember Larsson's goal when he taken it down on the right foot, left foot spin it, and he took bag. But that's the only goal I could just remember that being some game.
Yeah, no, there was some. I remember. I think like I know it'll be a soft spot for you, Sharpie, but the one when it was like the actual you lost that was the 3-2 final. But what I mean by that is if you actually watch the quality on show in that game, like you've got Hartson, you've got I think the penalty gets saved, but you've got Larsson also playing in that game as well. I think he played in that game. But what I meant is like that type of result either way was not a surprise because they were like that. There's so many really, nowadays I don't know off the top of my head, but you don't tend to get as many high scoring games like that. So yeah, it was an unbelievable run, and I think it was probably a golden age for Scottish football, really, to be perfectly honest. I know people say Dundee United and the European Cups and Aberdeen, I get all that, and Celtic obviously winning the European Cup, I get that, but I just mean for recent history, it's a golden age when you look at what the players went on to do or done previously. It's a real interesting one. But on just the last wee part in football, Myles, is there anything else you wanted to ask Mark about football wise?
Just see during like peak lockdown, I don't know if you've watched it, they were showing like loads of like replays at old games, Rangers and Celtic. It was on BBC quite a few times, and like see just watching the standard back then, it was actually frightening. Like they've got good players nowadays. Back then it was like pretty scary. And I had Chris Sutton played centre back as well.
He played everywhere, man. Like I think he scored after like 18 seconds or something against Rangers when he was playing centre half that game.
Aye.
But Celtic ended up getting a hand at that game, but he scored.
Like a striker going to play centre half, like crazy.
I find it mental that Larsson says like the amount of players like you look who Larsson's played with. I mean, he was running even when he was at Man United. He was Rooney and Ronaldo was around him. Ronaldinho and Messi was around him at Barcelona. But it's Chris Sutton's he's like the best player he's played up front with. But I think that's just like not the best player, but for him though, it's not the best player he's played up front. But for him, it's so that's
he would sort of 4-4-2, like kind of 4-4-2, working with that. I think like Larsson was quite complimentary and could read where he wanted to be and stuff. I understand that because as a preference, it's a bit like when you go into Barcelona, you're maybe playing a different formation, the 4-3-3. Obviously, Ronaldinho and stuff's still ridiculous, and Messi's just kind of coming into that team. But it's like I do get it because even if you look at the Sweden team, Mark, when Larsson played with Ibrahimovic, they tended to play like a 4-4-2 to get them both in. So it's like I think that suited him as well. Larsson could play in any formation, but I think he played that formation a lot. So it's an interesting one. But listen, that's a great chat about football. Is there any other on the Scottish, just before we finish up on the football section, see the Scottish side of things, mate? Is there the current Scotland team? I don't know if you watch, obviously you said you watch with Ferguson, the Scotland team. Just a wee snippet on how do you think that the national team's doing at the moment? Do you think we're on the up?
Definitely, mate. We've never been on the up, so it's good to see, man. I quite like what Clark's doing, mate. I mean, folk get their opinion on Clark, but it's what we've achieved in this little space of time. It's been class, man. He's brought a bit of excitement to the country, which we've not had for a long time, man. So I am quite optimistic about chances now. Not winning anything, but just doing well.
No, but the thing is, Mark, though, you're right, because I feel like sometimes with Clark, and Myles can come on his opinion on Clark now, but it's like, I think sometimes they put him with a brushy Kilmarnock and like making him hard to beat, and then would that work with maybe higher level players? But to be honest, mate, I was impressed. See, against Israel, we didn't play particularly well in the first half, but he seemed to get a reaction that we really went for it. And I think the Faroe Islands game was like, they're always just a horrible game. They're never a nice game, those away games. But I don't know. I agree with you completely. I feel like he's got the tactical nous to work against the bigger teams. Like the Denmark game at home, I think will be interesting. And then also, it's like I feel like he's understanding the squad better now. So if we get to a playoff, I feel like it'll be better than the group stages in the Euros, because I feel like he'll know what to do. He'll know when to play with the ball, and he'll know when to maybe go a bit long. So, Myles, I don't know if you want to come in that. What's your thoughts in Clark and the national team?
I watch every Scotland game, but it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for entertainment, then I watch Scotland. Like, I find them very boring. Like, the football is boring at times, and I thought, see, against bigger teams, I thought we'd struggle like that kind of sitting off. But then see that England game in the Euros, like the complete opposite. So I think he has got a wee bit of both about him, but it's not the best football to watch, but it's getting results. And
it seems to be getting better though. Like, see the Tierney Robertson thing, like they seem to be getting that kind of Sheffield United way of the overlapping when Tierney's at centre back or Robbo's high up. That seems to help though, because like that can be exciting, because if you're getting crosses in with Dykes and stuff and Che Adams, I'm just hoping it creates Hampden to be more of a fortress, and that's what we need to get. So hopefully we'll see how that goes. But just the last thing on football, Mark, you're playing this Sunday at the soccer. I don't know if you wanted to give a wee shout out about that.
I need to dig it out, mate. I need to get shin pads for somewhere as well. But now we're playing it. It's a charity of the soccer sixes. You've probably seen it like on the telly and that. I hope that's on the telly. Like, it's going to be a shambles. Can't remember the last time I ran or made play football, but it's for the playing the children's charity. And there's just so many big. It's a random bunch of names, but a lot of big names in there playing. Just got a wee list of some of the folk that are playing. So Derry Ferguson's playing. John Hartson, Charlie Miller, Ian Durant, Simon Donnelly, Marvin Andrews, Mark Wilson, Frank McAvenny.
Oh,
and then that's like,
oh,
that'd be frightening, mate. So there's other folk like that. Nathan Aarons is playing, James English. There's people for all walks of life playing in it. So Susie Maguire, Jane Park. So it's a mixed bag, like, but it should be interesting. Douglas Ross, I think he's refereeing, so you can see me getting sent off for a tackle on him. And we're playing a couple of tunes after it as well, so at the after party. So I'm looking forward to it. It's just get the times. The doors open at 5:30 this Sunday at Hamilton Accies, the arena of Hamilton.
That sounds good, mate. That sounds fantastic. Sounds great, mate. The players there as well.
How do you fancy your chances up against Marvin Andrews?
Just put me on him, mate. Just put me on him. And I don't fancy my chances at all against him. I hope he's in my team. I don't know what the teams are yet, but I think it's Scotland and West Ham. So that's going to be the team. So that's like Frank McAvenny said it, obviously didn't but they Celtic. So he's two teams, Scotland and West Ham. So I've seen a photo of the strips and that. The strips look class. But I'm looking forward to it, man. It should be a laugh. I honestly don't know where my bits are, but I'll find something.
Actually doesn't know. Mate, I'll give you a pair if you need them. Me or Myles will give you a pair if you need them. But
you've got shinnies and all?
Yeah, I've got shinnies actually. I do have shinnies. I bought some last week.
And a spare lung?
I don't know about that. I might need that lung, to be honest, mate, because I can't really run the new either. But just on,
it's going to be horrendous.
You'll be fine. Just on that, Mark. Just play on the last line. Just play on the centre back. But what I was going to say, Mark, is Simon Donnelly's quite good. I remember watching him at the. Obviously, he's good as a player, but it was the soccer sixties at England. Remember the big tournament?
National.
I'm sure he was in the him and was it Mark Burchell? They're both kind of keeping
Barry
good shape,
Ferguson.
Yeah.
McNamara. McNamara pegged Michael Owen a belter at that.
Yeah.
It's class.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
He's in good shape, isn't he? Simon Donnelly keeps himself in quite good nick, I think. He looked quite good at that tournament.
He does, mate. He does, mate, aye. They all kind of do. So it should be a laugh when I come on the park after 2 minutes.
Now watch this. You're going to score the winner, mate. You score the winner at the final, and then you'll just be like, no bother. You play no minutes. Come on the last 2 minutes. Yeah, listen. It could happen.
That'd be good fun.
Nah, it'd be class, mate. But just
I'm
just
looking
on
forward to it.
no, it'd be great. And as I say, that'll be a brilliant event, and I'm sure it'll be a massive success. But just kind of moving on to the music side of things now, mate. And I said to you before, just want to kind of talk about, you've got some massive gigs coming up, and not to ask you the date of the garage, but we'll talk about the garage in Glasgow. This will be your biggest headline yet. I know you've obviously played the Aberdeen Capaldi support, which is maybe the biggest venue, but the garage, I mean, just initially, what's your thoughts on that? Because I think that's superb, mate, honestly.
Aye, I really like the venue. We played. We were supposed to play the Attic. So there was 3 venues in it: the Attic, G2. We got moved up to the G2. That was good. That was good fun. But this one's like triple the size of that. So, and it's bigger than our last. Our biggest show we've done was St Luke's. The biggest headline show was St Luke's, and Manchester's bigger than that. So it's going to be a big ask. But now I'm looking forward to playing it. It's a cool venue, man. Really like it.
Yeah,
Do you get nervous before it? Oh, no bother.
What's that?
Do you get nervous before it, or are you just no bothered now?
Nah, I still get nervous before, like, getting nervous trying to sell tickets. That's the beginning, and then I'm all right if it gets sold out or whatever. I'm all right until like maybe about 15 minutes before I'm about to go in. Oh, spewing in the toilets and that, man. Still get nervous, but once you're on the stage, you're just a different person, man. You don't ken that yourself. It's just kind of comes naturally, and after that, and so
it does when you've got a voice like that, mate. It does when you've got a voice like that.
No, not at all, mate. Not at all. You're like that. Why was I worrying in that before it? Because people, when you do it, especially when you do the headline shows, because even when we did the Mash House last week, nervous about that, and then you're like, it's sold out. It's like people are there to see us anyway, so there's no point in worrying about it. And it doesn't matter how many times I tell myself that, I still get nervous anyway. So.
Do you have a wee drink? Oh.
I know as much as used to, like, too much to think about it. But I need to a couple of Jack Daniels before I go and settle the nerves, wet the whistle. But honestly, mate, my voice was in bits before that tour, and I was trying everything, and nothing was helping. And I just had a couple of drinks of Jack Daniels, and then honestly, mate, so
right as rain.
Aye, it's good medicine, mate.
I think
maybe not in the long run, but
yeah, Myles can comment. Myles can comment on that, because I think if me, obviously, Myles used to be in some gigs together, some great memories. Supported your man down here at St Luke's, which was actually one of my favourite nights, mate. But Myles, I think the first maybe 6 months of gigs, Myles, wasn't it? It was like half bottle before the gig. Like, we want to be like the Snuts. That's what Myles was thinking. Get the bottle, and yeah, I think there was one gig when Myles just like, I can't remember what I said there. And he's like, we better. I think the acoustics didn't help with that either, Myles, did it? Because you're doing acoustics every week, and you just kept drinking at them.
That was mainly for the nerves, though. But like, I don't know, it kind of just stopped after a while. You just got used to it, but it definitely helps.
Yeah, definitely.
It does.
See on that, Mark. Just a quick wee segment, because Myles has done loads of acoustics as well, a bit like yourself. And I know Myles actually you got him up to sing Last Train, so basically he's in love with that song. But on that, Mark, did you find that actually doing the acoustics? I don't want to go too much into that, because I know you spoke about that before. But do you think that actually helped you kind of build I wouldn't say confidence, mate, but that kind of that feeling on stage, that when you do live gigs now, that's kind of was a good grounding, doing the acoustics about West Lothian? You think that was helpful?
100%, mate, and I'd recommend that to any like young artists that try to get going, to do all the kind of local pubs and stuff like that, and acoustic. It helped for me. It helped with just exactly what you said there, confidence and stuff like that, but also helped build a fan base. And the people that used to come to the gigs just at the pubs around here and shots and whatever, they still come to the gigs now. So it's like, it's well worth doing. They're still the loyal fans, they're still buying tickets now, and it's grown a bit, but like the loyal ones are still sticking by us for day one. So I'd highly recommend it to end of its kind of stuff. That's or maybe worried about playing gigs or something like that, just do local stuff and even if it's covers. You know,
Yeah,
just
the loyal ones that are swinging for the roof at Disco Land.
say that again, mate. Sorry.
The ones that are swinging for the roof during Disco Land.
That's the lands, mate. They're still at the gigs. Some of them are still like at the gigs and we shout, they play Disco Land or something like that, Free Desire or something like that. And I'm like, still that gig away. I can't just get the band to start playing that, man. But no, they're still there, mate. They're not still there.
And that's superb, mate. Because I feel like I'm not going to talk about myself, but when I was like started like playing with Myles and that, and I'd jump in for a few acoustics, and I used to love acoustics, just doing covers and that, kind of improvising some, just because it felt like I love wee pubs and that for those gigs, because you always get a mixed kind of group of people. You get the pop tunes, the older tunes. I mean, just to talk about this, me and Myles went to Vibration Festival, and see when you'd done Simple Minds, I thought that was a stroke of genius, because it got kind of everybody involved, and see stuff like that. I just think, yes, I love those wee pub gigs, and it's just a top experience. And then you get free drink as well, which obviously helps. But we'll not encourage that, but it does help.
That's it, mate. That's just one of the bonuses. But spot on. And like doing that Simple Minds cover, you try to win over a crowd that's never heard you before. So like, I might like the songs, but I don't know them, so they can't really get into them. You just bang it like a wee random cover like that. You've seen it. Everybody's up singing and dancing and that. So it's That like doing covers, like I don't understand when bands kind of get nervous about we're no cover band or anything like that. It's like, we've been playing Born Slippy for I don't know how long, and it feels like a rain tune now. And so I mean, right. It's totally different for the original, so we can kind of get away with doing that, and people get a bit of shock. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing covers at gigs. Like, it's good to get your own tunes out there, though. It's important to get your own tunes out there and play them as much. But nothing wrong with a wee cover doing it then as well.
No, absolutely, and you've actually helped me there, Mark, because you've just segued into. I was going to talk about your new tune, and just wanted to get a quick few minutes on that. Obviously, me and actually Myles did hear this, and I'm not just saying it. Like when we heard the vibration straight away, we're like that kind of sticks in your head straight away. Now, I don't think every song can possibly be like that, but that one especially, it was like singing it on later on in the day. It's a very catchy tune. It's kind of. So obviously, I know you said in the past you want to be different, every tune not to be the same type of area. You want to mix it up, and I think it's a very, very good tune. So what was the kind of inspiration behind that, mate, or the process? How did you find that, making that song?
That was one of the ones that just kind of came up, and that very rarely happens. I mean, for a long time I was struggling to write, and when I found myself trying to write, I was like writing kind of depressing tunes. And I was like, I don't want to be writing these kind of tunes anymore. And then out of the blue, the chords came, and then the lyrics just flew right on the page. It's mental. And the tunes, tunes about my dad that passed away a couple of years ago. But like, to me personally, that's what it's about. But I think people already say that they can relate to it in some way themselves. So that's what it's all about for me. If people can take their tunes and resonate with it in their own way, then that's the reason they do it. Do you know what I mean? That just makes it all worthwhile. But it was just one of the tunes, mate, honestly. Just came out. Sometimes when you go into the studio, you can kind of lose like the bare bones of the song. It just be like too much.
Yeah, you hear it. You listen to it too much. Listen too much. It sounds something different in your head. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, mate.
Or the producer can put like too much on it, and the song will completely change into something new. But this one's pretty much the same as the phone recording I've got on my phone for the minute it was written. So obviously the boys playing their part in it as well with musical side of things, but it's for when we came into the studio, it never really changed, and that was quite class because we never went into the studio to record that song. We had a bunch of songs, we had a couple in mind that we wanted to do, and nothing kind of got said about this one. And then when the producer heard it, he was like, when they change anything to that, let's let's just record that now. He really liked it, so I was like, that was amazing for me to hear that, and I'm just glad it's out there now. It's by far the best song to play live now as well. It's taken our life a few steps as well, I feel.
No, I think it's a great addition to the set as well, mate. Like, I'm not just saying it. Like, we wanted this interview because me and Myles and like obviously we're both big fans, but genuinely, it's not a case of I've listened to you before you've came on 2 days ago. Like, listened to you for ages. Initially from the Snuts support when we met and stuff. And I think your set, it's like what I'd say it's great about your set. And I don't know if Myles wants to come in here, but it's like, see, after you played Vibrations, there's a few songs, not even the Last Train, I joke about that, but there's a few that you didn't play that I was like, that you could chuck in at other gigs because you've kind of built that. You've got that catalogue now. And I think that's brilliant, to be honest, mate. I don't feel like when I'm going to your gig, I know what song you're going to play from start to finish, which I think is class. And that's just a great addition. And as I said, it's just, for me, it just straight away, like you say, obviously not to be a kind of depressing song. It felt very kind of major and uplifting. And I thought it was super
it's an upbeat
live
song. Yeah, man, definitely. It's that was quite important because, as I say, like when I was writing it was kind of depressing songs. I'm like, I don't want to put any of this kind of stuff out there. I want it to be a joyful experience and kind of just an upbeat anthem type song. And I just felt it was perfect.
You smashed it, mate. Like, I'm not just saying it. You smashed it. And how do you find that's going live now? Is it your favourite song live to play at the moment?
100%, mate. Aye, 100%. Just see, we've only done a few, obviously, tour gigs and stuff. To see how it went down amazing. But even before it, we were just itching to get going with it because practicing, like at practice, the energy of the boys in that room was just unbelievable. So playing it, finally getting to play it live now, mate. So I'm pretty buzzing about that.
No, it's great. Myles, I always want to say, do you want to say anything about obviously, because you've been to a lot of Mark Sharp gigs, is there any specific question you want to ask him on that?
That song at the Mash House was class. It was wild at that point because that was the last one you played there. Was that the last song of the night?
It was second last, I think. Second last.
I can't remember. Mine was a wee bit funny.
That was after the fifth pint. That you can't remember the last song.
I just want to ask, see your songwriting process, is it always starting with you and an acoustic guitar and then all the boys just kind of come on it, or?
That's the way it's been for all these tunes that we've released and so far, but we're trying to find other ways to write and just experiment in other kind of ways just to see what works best. We're always going to have this way that we do now, where I'll have the kind of the song and the bare bones with the acoustic and the lyrics and then maybe I'll take it to Dan and he'll put keys down on it or whatever, because he can play most instruments, and it's just kind of goes for them. They'll just chip in or chip away. But sometimes the boys will kind of bring a song as well, and then I can maybe put lyrics in that. And we've got demos of that kind of stuff. So we just want to try as many different ways and see what we can make with it.
Yeah, superb, and I think it's like it's working very well. As I said, the catalogue's brilliant at the moment. Quick question on that though, Mark. What's the? I'm not expecting a five-year life plan, but with the band, what's the kind of? I wouldn't say the next year because we're still in kind of grey times, weird times with COVID. But what would you say is in the near future with Mark Sharp and the Bicycle Thieves? Are you thinking about an album? Or are you thinking about maybe? I know you've got the Snuts tour that you're joining on, which will be outstanding. That'll be a great fun as well because I've seen the clips you've done it before. That'll be good exposure for the band and a great time. So what's maybe the plan for the next year?
It's always good going away with the boys. So I'm looking forward to that next month. And then, as you say, we've got Garage, so it's important to try and get that kind of selling well. It's kind of pushing that at the moment, but behind the scenes, just writing as much as possible. I'd love to do an album at some point. It's just a lot of money kind of do. So,
of course,
but it's something we're working towards, and we've already got songs out that could go in the album. So I mean, we don't have to like just a full new catalogue of songs out for an album, because a lot of the songs they would fit well in an album that we've got out. So it'd be good to
good variety, good variety.
A collection of that and some new ones as well. Because I just love for us to like bring it like a vinyl. You know what I mean? The tunes, I love vinyls. So I'd love for us to do that and kind of have just an album out, man. It's just never an album out. It just feels that feels like we need to get one out. But just need to see what happens. But writing as much as possible and try to get some support slots, I think, in festivals, because all we seem to do is headline shows. And I mean, that's brilliant. I love doing the headline shows, but you need to try and get a wider audience in if you want to go up. Like I say, the garage gig's a bigger gig than we've ever done, so we need supports to try and gather new bodies to the
new types of followed and stuff. Yeah. So see on that then, Mark. Apart from obviously the Snuts, like we all love the Snuts, but like, is there any other bands or artists you would love to support?
Loads, mate, loads. I don't know. I'm actually got to see a band tonight that we were supposed to be supporting when it was arranged like last year, but obviously nothing was happening, so it all got changed and plans got changed. But it's a band called Tempest. Don't know if you've heard of them. They're an Australian band,
I've heard of them. Yeah, I have heard of them. Yeah.
They're from, I think they're from Australia, but they stay in London, and they're playing at Broadcast tonight. And honestly, they brought out an album during like first lockdown, and that was the album of the year for me. Like all the boys and love it. They'd probably say the same. We've played with them before. Like they were actually on before us at a festival we did in Glasgow, and we were just watching them like, why the hell are they on before us?
Was that the
Shed?
The Shed one was when it was like Kel Faulkner and that as well.
Aye.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
So Kel Faulkner headlined, I suppose, the main stage, and then we were on the other stage upstairs headlining that one. Shambolic and all that played as well.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I wanted to go to that actually. It looked really good.
It's brilliant. So that's when we discovered that band, and then we're on the same agency as them. So that's how we were almost supporting them. But as I say, like different, like just ended up overlapping plans when it all got rescheduled, unfortunately. So, but I'm looking forward to seeing them tonight. They'd be a cool band to support, but
just jump on stage in between, mate. Just grab an acoustic and jump on stage. You'll be fine. Just a few covers.
I know other songs, mate. I know other songs, though.
Wait, that's what Myles is like with you. That's what Myles is like with you at a gig. He could jump on because he knows all the songs. So
well, the next acoustic gig, he's definitely get up and playing Last Train Likes.
100%, mate. I'm not. I don't know if you know this, Mark. I'm going to embarrass myself here, but I live quite close to Vibrations Festival. So on the morning of your gig, I don't know if you saw it. We got the wee cardboard cutout, and I wrote it terribly. Play Last Train. I don't know if you spotted it, but I think it was either Cammy or what's the guy with the beard called again? Is
Connor.
That Cammy? Connor. I think he spotted it. I'm sure he did. He had his big shirt on. He was smiling. But that was.
But he was like, and I thought he was joking. And he turned up that for fuck's sake. Oh no!
Like he'll say this, but he was desperate for it. He was desperate, but on that.
Point on size up their shows, man. I'm short-sighted. I can barely see past the front row. If it's like I'm alright, like it, like intimate venues and that, but at a festival, it wasn't loads of people there, like, but.
It was a decent amount for that time slot, mate. It was a decent amount, especially for Simple Minds.
Unless you're right in the front, mate, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, he was right in the front.
Oh, it genuinely was, but he was just like that. Who's this guy? This stalker, get him away. But no,
can I just jump in 2 seconds? Sorry.
Of course, mate. Of course, I was going to say.
You're talking about supports, Mark. I see you supporting Kyle Faulkner at Queen Margaret Uni, I think it was. What was it like supporting him? I don't know if you were a massive fan of him. Like before that, I loved Kyle Faulkner.
I knew that. You know, on stage singing with him one night.
Aye, in the warehouse. Cannot remember.
What was that like?
Yeah, I honestly cannot remember. I was absolutely.
He was good. He was really good. He smashed it. He was really good.
If you watch a YouTube,
What song was it?
At the time, and everyone that's had it, absolutely.
Face for the radio. Face for the radio.
Oh, well, you've got that forever. You know what I mean? You've got that forever.
I know.
But no, it was cool. It was cool supporting them. That was like before that gig. Their drummer and bass player were nowhere to be seen for the sound check, and there was a queue outside, and we were like trying to sound check the drums. Like Dan was playing the drums and that, trying to sound check the drums, playing bass, trying that. And you could hear folk outside and like that. Oh, this is going to be terrible,
That's
man.
the fear. That's
and then
the fear, mate.
5 minutes before we were about to go on, we pushed it back about like 5 or 10 minutes or something like that, and then 5 minutes for it to go and the drummer turned up. Oh, thank God. And but the gig went well. Like it was quite a big stage because like all Kyle's stuff was all set up still, and we just kind of had to set ourselves up round about his equipment and that. He's got quite a lot in the band, like. But it was a cool venue as well. I'd seen Cigarettes After Sex in there about a year or something before that, but I really like that venue. Quite cool.
Good.
But that was a good night.
It must be something about drummers, by the way, being late.
I know, must be.
Aye.
Don't know who you're talking about, mate. Don't know who you're talking about. But listen, I've never missed a sound check, though. I never missed a sound check. I've got that.
Never miss a beat.
We'll try anyway. But that's maybe after the third Magners. But what I was going to say is, Mark, is see on that you talk about supports you've done in the past. It's a hard question. I'm not expecting you to have your favourite gig, but what would you say is one of your favourite gigs? It's easy for me to think Aberdeen supporting Lewis Capaldi or the Mash House or St Luke's, because we actually fortunately played it, and I actually thought, not even joking, mate, I thought that was one of my favourite gigs. I thought these were actually outstanding. I already knew these were really good, but I just thought the energy in that performance. He was saying to Myles earlier, I remember, I can't remember, is it I'm Not Alone or one of them you played?
You're
I
not
just remember, and just remember thinking vocally, it was just like, I just thought the energy in that place was brilliant. So that was my favourite gig I've been to with yourself.
Yeah.
But I just wondered, what was your favourite gig?
Probably that one too as well, mate. Just because it was such a milestone. Because you can yourself, you start off doing around Glasgow, the wee kind of venues, and then the goal's King Tut's, and then after that it's G2 or whatever, and then you keep building up, and then St Luke's for us was the big one. So that's definitely up there for one of my personal favourites. We went all out that one as well because we had the projector as well, didn't we?
Yeah, it was class, mate. It was really good.
Scott Kempick came up with all these mad.
You done the train spotting thing with Born Slippy. That was brilliant as well. Yeah,
man. Aye, that was cool. So that's one of them. Obviously, that Aberdeen one with Lewis Capaldi was good. Snuts tour, we played Liverpool. The whole tour was good, but the Liverpool was really good because it felt like it was our own gig.
Yeah, because you played for Liverpool. You played for Liverpool. You've been on the pitch for Liverpool. You've actually played.
That's what it was.
It was a welcoming for you.
Kenny Dalglish that went into the line again, so that was good. And just before that full tour, I think, just before the COVID full the world shut down, with the Aberdeen, but the gig before Aberdeen was Newcastle, and that was class. Really enjoyed that. It was something about that gig, I don't know, just that was a special gig. So it must have been, we knew this was going to happen type thing, because it was just like they gave it our all, and it was. I think we were lucky that gig went ahead. To be honest, lucky that tour went ahead. And I remember when they were heading to Aberdeen as well, the Old Firm got cancelled that day.
Yeah.
So everything just started shutting down, and that the Capaldi ended up being the last gig in the UK or whatever. We were getting I know, man. We were getting dogs abuse for Capaldi fans. Like, he's better than playing this.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
I know.
You've just been told what to do.
I know, but I think it made sense for that to go ahead, that gig anyway. The van broke down the way as well, so it's just like, this isn't happening, is it? But thankfully it did, and it was a special gig, man.
No, it looked. I watched obviously the clip on your the YouTube channel as well. It looked superb. And I'm just going to say, Myles, just a quick one on that. Was there anything else you wanted to ask Mark?
No, that St Luke's night was amazing. Absolutely loved that night. See, because the time of year that it was as well. Don't know what it is, right? See, in December, like gigs are so much better. I don't know why. It just feels so much better. And everyone was there like singing along, and it was the first kind of point I thought like he's going to hit it like big time here, because like everyone was singing every word, and I was like, this is like the kind of turning point for them. It was like you were actually witnessing your turning point, if you know what I mean.
Aye. And then world shot. I think everyone was on the bill that night. They made that a special night as well, because obviously we became pals before that, and it was special having these new like a crowd as well. So it was that was and he's absolutely smashed it. You know the DMAs that night.
Aye, we did, mate. It was actually good, brilliant. My favourite tune we've ever done was Delete. That was Big Myles' shout. Aye. He said we should do Delete, and that was my favourite. Like
that was unbelievable that night. Like I can remember, I was singing along. I was standing at the wee door bit at the side.
Yeah, the wee door bit. That wee hatch. Yeah. I remember talking to you.
While spewing.
Yeah, well, I remember.
I'm on next.
No, I remember talking to you, right, and I think it was like I can't mind what we're doing, but I was like, I think you were just about to go on 10 minutes to go, and I think we came off and we're drinking. I was just like chatting to you, but I was like, you're on in 2 minutes, and it was just like because it's that wee gathering bit behind St Luke's, like you just kind of chat normally there, but you just take 2 steps and you're on the stage. But honestly, Myles has got it. Turning point is probably what I would say. Mate, honestly, I'm not even saying this. That was genuinely one of my like most impressive performances I thought. Just there's some gigs you just watch and it's just like everything, the energy, the performance, just like the timing of the songs, the way you played into each other. It was a top gig. And just maybe on that, mate, I know you mentioned no, listen, we're not doing this to we know how good you are. This is our privilege to have you on the podcast. So thanks again for coming on. But who you been listening to now, Mark? You said The Tempest. Is there anyone else you've been listening to that you maybe say you said album of the year or you've been really impressed with? It doesn't need to necessarily be Scottish or a local band. It could be a massive band, just someone you've been really impressed with, or artist, sorry, not just a band.
That's a good question again, mate. Sometimes I go through stages where I'll just listen to like new artists and stuff, but then I'll always just fall back into stuff and go back to the old school stuff and that. You follow the different categories and all that, but I don't know, man. I went to see that Wally J. Haley a couple of weeks ago at King Tut's. He was pretty good. Boy from down south. He's got a song called Fashion Man. As soon as you hear that song, you'll be hooked right in there. It's a really good tune. Who else, man? Feet, just because of the albums there. The band called Feet, man, they're pretty cool.
I was going to make a joke there, but I'm not going to make that joke. It's no this related. It was something else, but I'm not going to make that joke. It's too cheap. But it's not about you. It's a football joke. I was just going to say, Paul Scholes would love that, but I'm not going to say it.
How weird was that, by the way?
I know, but we're not got enough time to break that one down.
But is it?
Well, I don't know. It was a strange one.
You
know, seen it, Sharpie?
Don't think so, mate.
No, basically,
punching his daughter's toes.
Yeah.
Oh, what? She put it on her Instagram.
Yeah, it's a strange one. It is a strange one.
Just leave it like that.
But Myles, who's your, just a wee quick one, who's been your album of the year, or like the artist you've probably listened to the most this year?
Snuts has got to be album of the year.
Definitely.
Sam Fender's new one as well, though.
For me, Sam Fender's is the album of the year right now anyway, just because that's maybe because you talk about those cycles you go through, Mark, but I'm properly into Sam Fender now. Like I wasn't at the start, but I think his first album was like 5 tunes were great and they're all good, but it was like a mixture, where this one, the album just seems to be like a superb album. I don't know, I've been watching him. I think I even saw the Transmit highlights. I just think he's going to be absolutely massive. I just think it's not just him though, his band. You talk about like obviously the Bicycle Thieves as well, but his band bring a lot of energy to that as well, and obviously the saxophone player. But I just wanted to say quickly, Sam Fender, what album! But Snuts as well, what album that was as well, and just general, it's a great time for Scottish talent, mate. And I was going to just final question, because I know you need to go soon. I'll let Myles say if he's got anything else he says before we finish up. Any more questions, Myles, before Mark has to go?
Let me have a wee think.
He needs to go soon, but I would just say, Mark, the last one.
No rush.
You sure? Okay, mate. The last one I was going to say is, see the Scottish music scene. I know you get asked about that all the time, but where are you at then now? It's like obviously got the garage coming up. Do you actually think that the Scottish music scene? I've never played like in other places. You have, and you've been on tour with the Snuts, your own gigs and stuff, right? Do you think Scotland's actually quite a good place, especially Glasgow, to play, because you've actually got a lot of choice of venues? Do you think that's similar in other places, or do you think Scotland's kind of special in that way, or unique?
I think, I've not been too far, like, to see how many places I've got, how many venues or whatever, but I think Glasgow is a special place for it, especially for like unsigned artists and that, because as you say, you just need to walk down Sauchiehall Street, there's venues left, right, centre. It's obviously a good scene, because like we don't know for Glasgow, but we go in there as well, and they take to you quite well, which is a shame for Edinburgh, because a lot of their venues seem to be shut in, but there's great acts for Edinburgh, but not so much a scene. There's so much a scene in West Lothian. Obviously, there's a great music scene in West Lothian, but there's no as a scene as like venues and stuff like that. There's no many, so that's why we have to go further afield into Glasgow or whatever. But there seems to be quite. I always feel Liverpool's quite similar to Glasgow, like just similar places, and just similar personalities as well. Seem to be just. I think there is quite a few great bands. Obviously came to Liverpool, so Beatles would maybe one of them. Should be there. But recently as well.
Cast are quite good as well. Cast are quite good.
Cast, Miles Kane as well. The Laz, Jamie Webster seems to be making waves down there now as well.
He's tuned this place about Liverpool. This place. That's a good tune as well. Really.
See when they won the league and that came on, that was special. Like
it was on the same night, mate. I think they won it and then he released it. It was either that day or the day after. But yeah, he done like the cop nights. I can't remember what they're called, and it's like he went to Madrid and stuff.
Boss nights.
Boss nights, that's it, mate. And it's like he'll just basically do a few covers and do a few Liverpool tunes. But see, because of the team we've got, there's loads of tunes. Like you've got the Virgil van Dijk tune, the Jeannie Wijnaldum tune. There's lots of different ones, and it's like people just get pissed and have a great time. So no, I'd love to get along to one of them. But
I was going to ask if you'd been to one. I seen that he did one, and Jamie Carragher was on the stage.
He's a centre half. He's on number 4. Watch him defend. Watch him score. That's the one. Jamie can't sing, to be fair to him. That's why he was a centre back. It was good, mate. So just on the last kind of segment here we got. Myles, do you want to ask Mark about? I think you mentioned earlier. Just as a wee question you're going to say. It's completely went out of my head, but. You want to jump in now, Myles? Any questions?
I've got a wee question, right? So, I've seen on Facebook a lot of like kind of older posts and stuff mentioning this. I think it's tea in the clacking. I might be wrong.
That's the one.
That because my pal Luke, he talks about that as well. I just want to know what it was like, because I've seen videos of you and Jack, I think, singing.
Great question. Great question.
I know somebody started it like. Years ago, a guy called Barry Morton started it years ago. I think they couldn't make it to the pub one year or something like that. So they ended up just having it in the pub that's just down Whitburn Main Street called the Clacking. It's a spitting image of the Klansman, by the way. It's just like an old man's pub, and it looks exactly the same from outside, mate. I swear to God. But we started going there for a bit, and that's when I was telling you earlier about 3 Pint Thursdays after 5 sides. That's where we used to go after that. So obviously, me and Jagger, we'd go to the pub and then we'd go back to like his bit and just like play guitars and stuff like that. Go back to mine or whatever. just have a jam, have a bottle of wine or whatever. So like they knew that we were leaving the pub, like the folk that owned the pub, they knew that we were leaving the pub just to go play guitar and that. Sometimes we'd take the guitar into the pub, and then they asked us, would you put on Tea in the Clacking? So me and Jack just got obviously our mates to along it, and we'd play. So we used to just like play covers, just like he'd play guitar, switch guitar, and just sing with each other, do a couple individual ones as well. And then we thought, why don't we just get a lineup and that? So we just got all the acts for around here, like Luis Capaldi and stuff like that.
As you do.
So like mental when you think about it. So we did that for about 3 or 4 years or whatever. It was good fun, man. It just became a big thing around here. And I think just after Lewis released Bruises, he was already going to be able to play it. He was going to play it anyway, but because his name's on the poster, like his like all kind of kicked off his agency and all that, and they were like, he's not playing this, he's not off the poster and that. So we take his name off the poster, but he played it anyway. And just mental. Nah, he's some man. Just mental seeing that. And I think the last one we done, we built a stage in the place, and that just like wooden pallets. And
that is superb. That is so good.
Then we Jack was a joiner at the trade, so he made like a big tenant sign, and just like that was like the backdrop to the stage and that. And like just somebody bought like Hunter's inflatables and tents and all that. It was a mess, like, but it was class.
That's such a community, mate. That's honestly that sounds like
that's where it's all came from, mate. Honestly,
yeah.
Aye, and so the last one that we did, it was the Snuts. Again, he got back together for the first time in don't know how many years, and they had Glasgow. I think they just released Glasgow, so they started with Glasgow, then played a few covers, and like did a set of romance. When the Snuts used to go, they'd always get me up to sing a certain romance. So we did that. So they started with Glasgow and then they finished with Glasgow. And they might have played it in between the set as well. That place is mental, man.
and now they just got a #1 UK album. There you go. Fair play.
You see, like, I think there's a video on YouTube, I'm sure, that last guy that they did in the Clacking. I've got to say the Clacking in there.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, Mark. I think I spotted that. I think it's in one of their videos actually, or it's no that. It might be someone else is taking it and just like it's like a phone video, I think. But it's like people mental, yeah.
There's a few clips in the first Glasgow video as well. Like that's mental, that one. But that's good. That's what that was anyway, mate. Unfortunately, no, I was just going to say, mate. Turning into a shop or something. Probably turning into either bookies or hairdressers because what they're lacking in that. They've only got about 400.
All right, I hear you there, mate. It's a Willie Hill or a Coral. They need to get a Betfred in there, probably.
Aye. Sure, good.
Yeah, no, mate. I've got one near me, and I think it's called. It was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like a order betting thing. It was just a sign on the place, like you can do it. I was just like, there's so many bookies now. But yeah. Mate, thanks very much for your time. I was going to ask another question, but to be perfectly honest, I think that talking about Tea in the Clacking by Myles there, that just kind of smashed it. That was a great one. But actually, since I've got two singers, I will finish with this one just quickly. I'll ask Myles first, then I'll finish with you, Sharpie. Right, I can't call myself a good singer. He's a good singer, right? He'll say that, but he's a good singer. I feel like DMAs, he is a good singer. He's very good at Sam Fender, DMAs, and now he's right up there. He loves a wee Snuts cover as well. If you've not seen it, go on that Snuts group page, and he's got a cover always brilliant. Myles, what's your favourite song to cover, or one of your favourite songs? Because you've both done acoustics, and you've done covers live. So what's your favourite cover you've done or to do?
I like DMA's covers now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Delete was probably my favourite one. 7 by Catfish was a good one to do as well.
We've done that loads. That was good, actually.
No, that's good. Did you play that at St Luke's as well?
The first time when you were supporting, the first time. I can only say we played 2 sold out St Luke's gigs because we supported the Snuts and Mark Sharp, but you better believe I use that all the time. You better believe I say that all the time.
You sprang some crowd, like.
Yeah, no, it was
a great night, mate. You helped get that sold out, like, definitely.
Yeah. Don't worry, mate. I'm going to be posting about the garage for about the next 3 months, and that you're going to sell that out as well. So you're going to, no worries about that, because that will be bouncing, and I will be there, and so will Myles. But last question, Sharpie, what's one of your favourites to cover now?
With the band, obviously, I still love Dead Ball and Slippy.
Of course.
There was a time where we were actually going to think about taking that out, and then I think we let it be the last time we play it, and then it was unbelievable, so it's gone the area. Personally, I quite like playing Ball and Slippy acoustic as well, but I like doing Don't Let Me Down with the Beatles. That seems to go down quite well. Try and get anything else, man. Been a while since I've done the cover gigs, but
yeah, it's when you get asked to improvise something. I've always found, talking to Myles, it's when they get asked and you have to wing it, and sometimes those go down like brilliantly. I think Myles once done "Come Undone" for me by Robbie Williams, and that's a personal favourite from Myles to do acoustic.
Nice.
But
that is a tune, by the way.
It is a tune, mate. Aye.
I'm nicking that for the next acoustic.
Date, mate. Generally, just say this is for Conroy and Myles and date, because honestly, it's a class tune. See, when you listen to the lyrics, I know we're getting a bit off, but it's like they're buying, what is it, razor blades and mirrors in the street. It's like dark as anything, and it's like, but mate, we once went, listen, I'm getting off track, we're going to finish in the mark, but we once went at a recording and he says, what do you want this to sound like? I went, a bit like Robbie Williams at Nebworth. Just, you know what I mean? Like, people forget that, but it was class, mate. But Sharpie, just before we finish up, is there anything else you wanted to add? And thanks for your time again. I really enjoyed that. It was a great chat.
Nah, mate, I've just thank you for having me on. I've had a class time, man. It's good to speak football and music, my two passions. Yeah. So, thanks very much for having me.
No, our pleasure. Myles, anything to add?
No, thanks for having me on with the most attractive guest you could have ever got.
I know you'd get that in some of it. No, I know. But
by the way, you need to take my phone off me. See it, Mark Sharp gig? It's Instagram. It's always something outrageous.
Aye, it's
love it, mate.
Usual. Yeah.
That's what I look forward to at the gig, so don't you put your phone away, mate.
Aye, just the stories, just looking at the stories constantly.
Yeah, can't beat that, mate. Can't beat that.
But listen, both of you, thank you very much for coming on. And Mark, honestly, really appreciate it, mate. And we'll look forward to the garage and any new stuff that comes out before then. And obviously, good luck with the tour with the Snuts as well. That'll be great. So thanks very much for your time, mate, and enjoy your gig tonight. And we'll see you soon. But yeah, to everyone, thanks for tuning in, and everyone, and cheers both. Take care, and we'll speak soon. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. Cheers.
Bye, guys.